Okay, guys, today we are going to discuss about another genetic disorder that is PKU, phenylketonuria. This PKU, it is caused due to it is caused due to mutation of PAH gene. It is caused due to mutation of PAH gene on chromosome number 12. On chromosome number 12. So the full form of PAH is phenylalanine hydroxylase. Phenylalanine hydroxylase. PAH, its full form is phenylalanine hydroxylase. So this is a gene which codes for the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase. If this gene gets mutated, then this phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme is either not formed or it is not working properly, right? So while we require this PAH phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme, this phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme, it is required for metabolism of an amino acid, phenylalanine. We have an amino acid in our diet. That amino acid is known as phenylalanine. In normal metabolism, this phenylalanine, it is converted into another amino acid, tyrosine, by the help of this phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme. By the help of phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme. Then this tyrosine, it is converted into another substance, homogentisic acid. Homogentisic acid, HGA, homogentisic acid, by the help of enzyme tyrosinase. Tyrosinase. Then homogentisic acid, it is converted into another product, methyl acetoacetate. Methyl acetoacetate. And then this methyl acetoacetate is finally changed into melanin pigment. So there is a cascade of reactions involved in the conversion of methyl acetoacetate into melanin pigment. So we are not going to discuss that. I am going only to tell you that when we consume proteins, in those proteins there is an amino acid known as phenylalanine. This phenylalanine, it is normally metabolized. It is normally converted into tyrosine amino acid in our body by the help of enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase. Then tyrosine enzyme is converted into homogentisic acid and it is converted into methyl acetoacetate. Methyl acetoacetate is then metabolized in different ways. And one of the product of this methyl acetoacetate is melanin pigment. Now, in PKU, in phenylketonuria, we suffer from mutation of this PAH gene. Where this PAH gene is located, it is located on chromosome number 12. So if this PAH gene is mutated, then either the phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme is not produced, or if it is produced, it is in mutated form, it is in malfunctioning form. So it is not able to convert phenylalanine amino acid into tyrosine. In the absence of phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme, we are not able to convert phenylalanine into tyrosine. So what happens then? This phenylalanine, as it is not converted into tyrosine, it accumulates in the body fluids and then it suffers abnormal metabolism. Phenylalanine suffers abnormal metabolism. It should have been converted into tyrosine due to lack of phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme. Phenylalanine is not converted into tyrosine. Instead, it is converted into another substance known as phenylpyruvate. It is converted into phenylpyruvates. And these phenylpyruvates are also known as phenylketones. Phenylketones. So phenylalanine amino acid, in the absence of phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme, is changed into phenyl pyruvate or phenyl ketones. These phenyl pyruvates or phenyl ketones, they accumulate in blood, in cerebrospinal fluid, and other body fluids, and their concentration becomes high. As they accumulate in blood and body fluids, as phenyl pyruvates accumulate in blood and body fluids, then they start interfering. These phenyl pyruvates, when they accumulate in blood, when they accumulate in lymph, when they accumulate in cerebrospinal fluid, they start interfering. These phenyl pyruvates, they interfere in the functioning of neurons. In the functioning of neurons. So they affect the brain. They affect the central nervous system. They have got their adverse effect on central nervous system. Okay. So these phenyl pyruvates or phenyl ketones, they interfere with the functioning of neurons and they have adverse effect on central nervous system. So this creates the problem in the person. A person starts observing, the person starts suffering from mental retardation. The person starts suffering from mental retardation. The person may develop epileptic seizures. Epileptic seizures. A person shows abnormal brain wave pattern. Abnormal brain wave pattern. And the person starts excreting phenylketones in urine. That gives disease the name phenylketonuria. Now person starts excretion of phenylketones in urine. So that gives disease the name phenylketonuria. Phenylketonuria, because phenylketones are excreted in urine. So when the phenylalanine amino acid is not metabolized normally, then it suffers abnormal metabolism. Instead of being converted into tyrosine, it gets converted into phenylketones or phenylpyruvates. These phenylketones or phenylpyruvates, they have got adverse effect on central nervous system, and they start interfering with the functioning of neurons, and the person starts suffering from mental retardation. The person develops epileptic seizures. The person shows involuntary contractions of the body muscles. The person starts making involuntary movements, and the person may suffer from hits, bouts of unconsciousness. The person may lose control over his urinary bladder. So there may be involuntary urination during this epileptic seizure. And the person also shows abnormal brain wave pattern. If the person is taken for EEG, his EEG shows abnormality. The EEG is not normal. And the person starts then excreting these phenylketones in his urine. So that is why the disease has been named as phenylketonuria. Phenylketonuria means excretion of phenylketones in urine. So it is these phenylketones which interfere with the functioning of central nervous system and cause the problems, right? Now, can such persons be treated? Is there any treatment for phenylketonuria? Since it is a genetic disorder, it is caused due to a gene mutation. The only way out would have been gene therapy, but as I told you, this gene therapy is a very complicated process and it is a very expensive process. And most of the times it doesn't remain successful. So, in addition to gene therapy, is there any other way out? Yes. If a person is given phenylalanine free diet, you might have observed so far that this problem is created due to amino acid phenylalanine. When phenylalanine is not converted into tyrosine, then it forms phenylketones. And then the problem starts. When phenylketones accumulate in blood and body fluids, in cerebrospinal fluid, in other fluids, then these phenylketones start interfering with the functioning of central nervous system. So if a person is given phenylalanine, phenylalanine free diet, the person may not suffer from those epileptic seizures and mental retardation. So if a phenylketonuria patient is diagnosed early in the childhood and his diet is maintained in such a way that his diet should not contain any phenylalanine amino acid in it, then the person may live a normal life. So phenylalanine free diet is prescribed for such persons. This phenylalanine amino acid, it is mostly present in meat, whether it is mutton, whether it is beef, or whether it is pork, right? So it is present in all sorts of meat, mutton, beef, pork. So if a person avoids eating meat, if a person avoids eating chicken, if a person avoids eating fish, if a person avoids eating eggs, milk, all these foods, meat, chicken, fish, eggs, milk, cheese, they all contain phenylalanine amino acid. So these foods are to be avoided. Nuts, legumes, and diet drinks. Diet drinks. They all contain phenylalanine amino acid. If a person is not given these foods, if a person avoids these foods are rich in phenylalanine amino acid. So a person has to avoid these foods because they all contain phenylalanine amino acid. If a person avoids them, then a person will not suffer from phenylketonuria. So providing phenylalanine free diet to phenylketonuria patients may help them to recover and they may not suffer from phenylketonuria, right? So there is only way out for phenylketonuria patients. They have to avoid a diet which contains phenylalanine amino acid. Mostly phenylalanine amino acid is present in meat, it is present in chicken, it is present in fish, eggs, milk, cheese, nuts, legumes, and diet drinks. So a person should avoid all these foods because they are rich in phenylalanine amino acid, right? So this is the only solution for treating this phenylketonuria. Now, it has been observed that persons who suffer from PKU, phenylketonuria, are generally blonde, or generally blonde. So can we explain why persons suffering from phenylketonuria are blonde? As I have told you just now, this phenylalanine amino acid, it is first converted into tyrosine by the help of phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme. Then tyrosine is converted into homogenesic acid by the help of tyrosinase enzyme. Then homogenesic acid is converted into mallyl esteoestate by the help of homogenesate 1,2-dioxygenase enzyme. Then this mallyl esteoestate in a cascade of reactions, in a group of reactions, then it is converted finally into melanin pigment. So when a person is not having phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme, that means phenylalanine cannot be converted into tyrosine. So when tyrosine is not formed, then homogenesic acid will not be formed. When homogenesic acid is not produced, mallyl esteoestate may not be produced, and mallyl esteoestate may not give rise to melanin pigment. So due to non-conversion of phenylalanine into tyrosine, a person suffers from deficiency of melanin pigment. Most of the tyrosine is formed from phenylalanine. Although some tyrosine amino acids are present in our diet, but most of the tyrosine amino acids, they are synthesized in our body from phenylalanine amino acids. When PAH is not available, when phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme is not available, so phenylalanine is not converted into tyrosine, and due to less amounts of tyrosine, melanin pigment formation is impaired. Melanin is not produced in fair amounts, right? And that is the reason. Due to lack of melanin pigment, the person develops pale yellowish brown hair, pale yellowish brown hair, brown hair. This pale yellowish brown hair, it is known as blonde hair. The person develops blonde hair. The person develops a fair skin. A person may have blue eyes. These are all the features of blondes, right? So this explains why person is suffering from PKU or generally blondes. So this question may be asked in the examination. Explain why person is suffering from phenylketonuria or blonde. So it is because of the fact that phenylalanine amino acid is converted into tyrosine. Then as the tyrosine amino acid is metabolized, finally a product melanin is formed from this tyrosine. Melanin, it gives coloration to our skin. Melanin gives color to our skin, right? So if a person is suffering from PH, that means his phenylalanine is not converted into tyrosine, and due to less amounts of tyrosine, lesser quantity of melanin is formed. And due to lesser quantity of melanin, the person develops pale yellowish brown hair, known as blonde hair. The person gets a fair skin. The person develops blue eyes. So the person develops features of a blonde. So this is how person suffering from PKU become blonde, right? So that is all about phenylketonuria. So this phenylketonuria can be only controlled by providing the suffering person's phenylalanine free diet. I think this is sufficient for today. Thank you for attending me.